I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Come and join me. All right, we had a little bit of tech trouble, so we're just going to take it easy, go slow, and yeah, this is it. This is it. Okay, thank you, Rikara. So let me start over. Way, way back long ago, when the planets were first known to our forefathers and mothers, we, the people, yeah. Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with Astrology Mojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. And the way I do it is talking about your vibration and your energy. And also the way I do it is by looking at the planets. Now, the planets in astrology don't make you do anything because everything in the universe reflects your vibration. It's all about vibration, folks. So if you're ready to get going with what you want, why you came here, what your purpose is, then we have to start looking at parts of you that are sabotaging you because they're unconscious, because they are scared, because they're in the dark. So just like, I started doing a series a few weeks ago about what each of the planets represent. And I'm going to come back to that. I want to revisit Mars and Pluto. Now, if you've ever read Dr. David Hawkins' Power versus Force, this is something what I'm going to be talking about today, but also how to apply that to when we look at astrology. Okay, so in astrology, so here's my spiel, that the planets don't do anything to you, that we live in a cooperation with the cosmos. When the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, it's reflected by way of aspects and angles in astrology. So when we look at an angle in astrology, in fact, I have one for you. Wait a minute. I don't typically wear glasses unless I'm at my computer. So I've been wearing them way too much, and now I'm not. There we go. Okay, so what do we see? Hey, come join me. Let's talk about this because we want to find your inner power and where you're resisting things. All right, so today is August 17th, 2020. Now, if you're listening to this on a Facebook live replay or in YouTube, okay, it's not August 17th, but some of what I'm talking about is going to apply to you, so I want you to listen carefully. All right, so the sun is in Leo. Mercury is in Leo at 20 degrees. That's an exact conjunction. All right. Hang on. Are they both at 11 degrees? Hey, Dean? Hey, Dino? I can't find my glasses. Can you look in the dining room table? My glasses, honey.
Oh, okay.
Can you look in the dining room table? It's nice to have a husband who works at home with you. Okay, so as I squint, oh, it's not 20 degrees, it's 25 degrees. Well, soon we'll remedy that when I get my glasses back. Oh, he's giving me an option. Well, neither of them, honey, because they're not the computer glasses. Can you look in the bathroom? Can you look on the dining room table? Can you look everywhere in the house? I only have computer glasses for my computer. Who's here? Amy. Hi, everyone. So glad you made it. Yes, I am too. Okay, so I'll just squint as you bear with me. That as the sun in Leo and Mercury in Leo are both conjunct at the same degree, 25, not 20. What that says basically is that part of the yod is still in effect, right? But now we're going to add Mercury to the mix. It's what you're thinking, perceiving, believing. Is a light from the sun puts the focus on that. And when we talk about power, and it's not that the planet gives you power, it's that you already have that inner knowing, that inner sense of self that says, I can do this thing, I am this thing, or I can be that, or I can motivate others, right? So that's when we look at Mars. All right, I'll just take those for now. He's looking for my glasses. I don't know where I put them. Oh, here they are. Thank you, honey.
Your producer.
Thanks, my producer. Okay. There you are. Oh, my goodness. Okay. So we're talking about frequency and momentum. Frequency and momentum. Because once you grab onto a frequency that is truthful, then then you can go forward with it. That's your momentum. Now, what's coming up for the next 6 months, count them 6, Mars in Aries is already there. You can see, right? Mars in Aries, 24 degrees. It's going to go retrograde on September 9th through November 13th. And when that happens, add a week or two either side, especially if you are Aries, Libra, Capricorn, or Cancer, okay? Because those are the cardinal signs. That's the element of initiation. And if you are any sign, you're still going to feel this. It's not that the planet is doing it to you. It's that you are ready to experience a thrust in momentum. Where do you want to take it? But before, we got to put the brakes on, because you see all the squares to Pluto especially, and Jupiter, yes, and Saturn, yes, but especially Pluto. When Pluto and Mars are doing something, it tells me that there is unrest. There's a turbulence. There's a disturbance in the field. So what's going to happen right now, we're going to see symbolism in your life. You will note this when you start to feel annoyed, angry, really upset about what's happening, why it's happening, and what you need to do about it. Okay, so let's talk about Pluto for just a moment. Pluto is named after, no, I'm sorry, let's reverse that. Plutonium is named after Pluto. And plutonium literally is what makes the nuclear reactors work. It's a tiny metal of explosion. So what happens? It's the fuel. It's the fuel for the nuclear reactor. It's so tiny, but so powerful. And so what happens when, and you can find it in trace amounts in nature, but it's also manufactured. It's manufactured. Okay, so naturally speaking, you have power. It's who you are. It's part of who you are. When you manufacture power, that's when we get into trouble. When you manufacture power. And that means attempting to manipulate, coerce, or otherwise make things happen in your favor. That momentum is what causes trouble. Now, I remember so long ago, I don't even know, New Jersey, walking up the street with a friend at the time. And there was and I think I must have told this story before. I'm just going to mute that for a second. So we were walking up the street, and on the curbside, and there was a parked car, but on the curbside, I guess there were leaves and some garbage, and they caught fire. And now there's this small fire on the street, on the curb, outside a store, a good 13, 14 feet away from the door, but right on the curb next to a car. My immediate reaction and response was to run toward it and start stepping on it. Because in my mind, if it reached the car inches away, the tires would explode, gasoline, kablooey, people are walking with kids, right? This is where my mind went. The person I was walking with was very laid back. And I said, go into the store and tell them, get some water, do something, like act on it. And she didn't. It took her a few minutes, but she finally did. And then other people like rallied and they were like, well, let's get it up. So later on, I said to this person, this is, I don't know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And I said, what was actually, I didn't get upset with them because everybody has a different response and reaction to a thing, right? So I said, what was going on with you? Like, you see this fire, but there's no connection to what? So what was going on with you? And I wanted to get angry, but I didn't, because I understood that everyone has their moment of ignition. And that was not it for this person. So they said, I just kind of watched things like I was removed from my body and it was happening. And I trusted that other people would take care of it. And I said, okay, cool. Now, when it came to other matters, they were like, right? So everybody has their point of ignition. So the bigger picture is the kinetic vibe behind your motivation. So when I talk about Pluto, let me just check in. Are we here? Everybody can hear? Dawn, I have no drive, no ambition. Deb is here. Hi. Shelby is here. Kathy. Hey, sister. Love you too, sister. Oh, the two sisters are talking together. Isn't that wonderful? It's a family affair. It's a family affair. Okay, so David Hawkins talked about, he's no longer on the planet, but he talked about power versus force. That's the name of his book. I highly recommend it. And he actually created a measurement, kind of a chart between 0 and 1,000, I think it was, and measured a natural power that was conductive. It motivated, it moved toward construction. And I think it was around 200 is when the fulcrum is when the switch took place in a person, where before, or 200 and before, something like that, you were destructive in energy. Anything higher than that, you were constructive in energy. So Pluto represents both of these things. So does Mars. And so Pluto, being that core TNT for the psyche, what's your motivation and why? It makes you wonder, every time you're acting on something, that's the Mars part of you, right? Pluto is the momentum behind the action, because something has to initiate it. You see, I tell this story to all my clients, just to get you to understand. You see someone like across the street, down the road, you see a man beating a dog, and you think immediately, what does that guy do? I'm going to call, animal services. And then when you calm down for a second, or maybe someone else intervenes and says, no, the dog has mange or is attacking his son. And then you say, oh my God, what a hero. So do you understand? When you don't understand what's going on around you, or even the feelings you have within you, you will reach that ignition point and start reacting. Now, if, like Dawn says, I have no drive, no ambition, there's so many factors that come into play. You have to check your hormones, your energy levels your biology relies on how you take care of yourself. Are you hydrated? Are you eating the right nutrients? Are you exercising your body? I had a lab test done not too long ago because I'm slightly anemic. And my doctor over the phone said to me, oh, I could see because he's a chem guy and he looks at all the labs. And I'll go and get labs phlebotomist is saying, I've never seen this kind of lab before. I'm like, that's my doctor. Sees everything. It's like looks behind the curtain. And he said to me, I guess you're not working out as much. And I was like, how do you see that? What is that in the lab report that shows that? I was fascinated. And I said, no, because I've been so tired because I feel like I'm anemic again. And he said, yes, right you are. So let's look at some Gaia liquid herbs. I was like, okay. And in 1 week, I already feel better. So you have to look at, all the chemistry in your body because you're a biological creature. Then you look at your emotional well-being, which relies on the physical well-being. It's all tied together. You have many bodies, right? There's the physical body, the emotional body, the etheric body. I did a whole show on that. All the way out to your Ka, your celestial body, your higher self, starts to speak through you, through all your bodies, till you get it, till you understand, oh, that's what's happening. So, you came here to have a physical experience, and so you really need to know how you're feeling by what you're doing, right? So we come back to Mars, and let me just show you again the screenshot. Mars in Aries. Now, when it goes retrograde on September 9th, let's start from September 1st to November 13th. Let's add a week and go to the 20th, 22nd. Okay. When Mars is retrograde, that's when you want to really take a look at, okay, before I keep pushing forward on that project, on these herbs that I'm taking for whatever, or, what I want to get done, or that person who's really bothering me and pissing me off, you want to back up and say, is now the time to put things into motion? And when Mars is retrograde, it represents the need for you to go in and reassess. Remember, any retrograde, look at these guys, any retrograde is meant to let me reevaluate, let me renegotiate, let me renew it, my commitment, or release it. So, having repairs, if you know that you have Mars in your 4th house, for instance, and having repairs done on your home during that time, is because your focus is elsewhere. You assume that the other person, the contractor, the vendor, the plumber, the roofer, you assume they are on the job the way you would be on the job. And therefore you overlook, oh, wait a minute, weren't they supposed to be done in like 6 hours, 3 days? Well, why is it taking so long? And so I better check in. You see what I'm saying? If you know you have Mars, and remember what's coming with it is this angle to Pluto. And so that's going to set you off, and then the blame wants to start. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go to blame, because remember, you in your frequency, what I used to study with Bartholomew, channeled energy years and years and years and years ago. Bartholomew used to say, are you 50% harmless? Because if you're 50% harmless, you're doing okay. You're on your way to what Dr. David Hawkins called the power, not the force. May the force be with you. Does that make sense? Who's here? Who's here? Come say hello. Hey, Deb. Deb Carl, we have several Debs here, is buying a home. Congratulations. Hooray. That's awesome. So just as you can be your own plutonium and your own Mars motivation, I really want you to take this time to understand that when I look at this chart, what I'm seeing is the collective. Pluto, the outer planets, represent the collective. So Jupiter in Capricorn, Jupiter, an outer planet. representing expansion, abundance, travel, publishing, spirituality, science, discernment, overindulgence, the benevolence of spirit. Also, as it's retrograde, represents in Capricorn, represents stoicism. Where am I being stingy with myself? Where do I pretend, oh, I can have chocolate. Yeah, I can have chocolate. Yeah, no problem. I can have chocolate. But where am I pretending? Where does it lead to overindulgence? Where am I looking at, wait a second, I used to believe something and then I stopped. Why? I'm going to revisit my commitment to religion, to spirituality, to traveling to new heights, whether you leave your office, your home or not. It's about experiencing the higher educational vibe, to be a lifelong learner. That means you're in it. You are what David Hawkins called the, you've got the frequency of momentum. And so look for symbolism, right? When Saturn, natural placement in Capricorn, because they work together. Saturn is Capricorn's muse, that celestial muse, that you may be looking at bone, teeth, skin, hair issues, hormone issues, rebuilding a structure in and around your home or your body. I'm doing OsteoStrong because I had a DEXA scan in March. And it's like wow, that doesn't look great. So OsteoStrong, my doctor said, is going to help you trigger the chemical that makes the bone. And I've been going for 7 weeks now, and I'm feeling so much stronger. And it's showing on my labs. It shows on my labs. So my doctor's like, okay, so your VEG with this number, blah, 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 is way high. So you're, interleukin serum 8. I think that's what it was. He's like, you're growing bone. I was like, yes, it's working. So does that make sense? Okay. Hello, Carlene is here as well. Teresa, my Pluto is in Virgo. So is mine. Aren't we so particular? I don't want to say persnickety, but we're so particular. Particular. And, I have like separation of church and state right there. That's what Pluto can represent as well. It's like, I'm mad as hell, Norman, right? I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. That's what, okay, no, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't, yeah, okay. We'll just cover up the space. So we want to look at our vibration and what we're doing with our vibration. And you know that you know. You know that you know. The moment you want to say or do something. Now, unless you're dehydrated and so tired, or you're on a medication that stops you, or you have a fever. Okay, you just woke up and you're groggy. Other than that, you know. You know when you know that you're about to say or do something that falls into the power category. Like, this is an empowering thing for myself and this person, or for myself and my backyard and my plants, or for myself and the community and the world. So you know that, or you know when it's going to be force. Like, I don't like that she has her thing out there and I can smell it. What is that? That bothers me. I got to say something. I'm going to send an email to my senator. So, okay, now that this is a highly charged Pluto, Mars, political time, if you put your power behind the action, the words, what you're doing, do it in a way that enables another to feel free. Because ultimately, if you do it to put somebody down, you match the force energy and you're in that frequency of harm. Are you 50% harmless? We hope more, right? And you may think, well, I'm a very kind person. I donate, at Christmas, and I give to charities. That's fantastic. But are you judging your brother-in-law because of how he barbecues? Or that your neighbor has a porch light on and it shines into your window? Are you judging? Are you judgy? Now, so even the most minuscule, tiny, plutonium, Pluto, tiny, most powerful, tiniest, most powerful. This is the quantum leap I'd like you to make, because it's not just on a chemical level. It's on a chemical, biological, physical, spiritual, intellectual. The very next choice you make to do or say or initiate with another living thing, have it be 50% harmless, at least. Right? Are you with me? Does that make sense? Okay. And I took some notes. You want to rate your thoughts and feelings. Rate them. And you create your own scale. On a scale of 1 to 10, is that thought about shoving that person's face into a wall because they're so mean and they're so blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can have those thoughts. You can have those thoughts. That's why there are movies where stuff blows up. That's why there are cartoons or comedians that you can watch that address those things, so you can laugh it off. There has to be, once the kinetic energy, there has to be that moment of ignition when you're walking across a carpet in winter and you're building up this energy. It doesn't just disappear. Static electricity is an oxymoron. You are kinetic, right? You're moving your energy. So then the very next moment you make contact with something, it sets off. Those electrons have to go somewhere. It's the same thing with your thoughts. Same thing with your feelings. So if you can create a happy bubble where it says, okay, I'm feeling really frustrated, name your feelings. I'm feeling really angry. I'm feeling really frustrated. I'm feeling like I just want to break something. Notice how it builds up in your aura and in your energy, and then whoops, you just tripped or almost tripped, or whoops, you just dropped something and broke some glass. That's a physical expression of your kinetic power. That's Wingardium Leviosa. You have the power to move your energy to go from harmful to harmless. And then the harmless part grows into compassion and then empowerment. So it's up to you. It's up to you to stop the niggling little, what did you do? What? So that's why we watch drama shows, because it shows us, oh, I so totally relate. I wait a minute, let me get rid of that. I so totally relate to what just happened. Or it fulfills the need in you to have something melodramatic happen, and then you can yell at the show. Why are they doing that? They're so stupid. That's where you get that energy out. That's okay. That's in a bubble of healing. That's in a bubble of safety. Make sense? Let me just check in with everybody else. Carlene's a Sag. Hello, Ms. Sag. Okay, so Dawn says, if I find myself starting to judge someone, I stop and ask why. Then compassion comes in and it stops. Applauding. Thank you. You just made our collective life much lighter. Thank you. Amy says, I work at a hospital and I love to rate on a scale from 1 to 10. Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. How the two apply. It really hasn't been how I try to. Okay, so whenever you're moving toward wholeness inside a body where there are chemicals and biology and hunger pains. I'm hungry again. I just ate, so then that tells you you're snacking way too much. You're eating way too much sugar. Your body glucose levels are not able to reset themselves. Your kidneys working overtime. Your liver's working overtime. But you may not know it that way. You just may go, yeah, I'm in a mood. I have blood sugar issues. Okay, well, if you have blood sugar issues, let's focus on that instead of pushing it out and vomiting and hurling into the world. Go deal with your blood sugar issues. And that's a very simple fix. Self-care. That's what it is. It's called self-care. We had a cousin come over yesterday. It was so lovely to see them. And I had little cupcakes and chocolate cupcakes, and they were filled with a buttercream. And she had one and she loved it. And I said, another? And she's like, no, really, I'm trying to watch mine. I go, watch what? I said, this is a keto, everything on this table that you have eaten tonight minus the peach chutney, everything is keto. There's no sugar. There's maybe one carb in that cupcake. She's like, I'll take two. Right? I'll take two. I'll take two with me when I leave. So having learned how to care for my body, it took a long time. But you have to make that a priority at some point. So the more you become a lifelong learner, that's when you start to gather information and not just read half of the paragraph and go, okay, I got it. I know. Check that box. No. Read another paragraph. See what somebody else has to say about that paragraph. Start to formulate your own opinions, right? And then apply it. That's the connection between the Mars-Pluto. It's like from going to war over something or utilizing that momentum to make something, to rebuild something. Pluto represents the breakdown of energy, the explosion, the implosion. But then Phoenix rising from the ashes, then you start over. So if you've got I got the start over in mind, like I want to rebuild something, a relationship, because everything is about relationship. You are negotiating everything in your world. And so it can be a relationship to your health, to your wealth, your passion, your purpose. What would you like it to be? So you want to ask yourself, if I say, do, or think this thing, will it cause harm? Will it deconstruct? Will it cause destruction or construction? That's what you want to ask yourself now, right? So as you move this, remember that you are not just doing it for you and your little world, because you are connected to everything. And that includes all the planets, all the galaxies, all the universes, not just, 123 Main Street, USA, or Germany, or all the countries that are watching. Thank you for watching. So you have that much power to help the collective settle down a little bit, feel a little bit better, not be so quick to, hurl. I will continue the talk on Mars as the months progress, but before we get to, if you're watching this now live or within the time frame of this week and this month in August 2020, you have time to prepare, to plan ahead, to think about, okay, Mars in Aries retrogrades. Let's just start from September 1st to November 20th. During this period, what do I have planned? If I have Mars in the 6th house, and I don't, but if I did, in the 1st, 6th, or 12th house, I would think to myself, that's not the most ideal time to initiate any kind of medical thing. If you have to go to you go to the doctor. But to initiate, like, oh, I'm just going to go have a random thing done, or a test done, or a checkup done, or a thing, if you don't have to, Think about that. If you have also Mars in the 6th house and the 12th as well, dealing with health, but Mars in the 6th house and the 1st house, you might be thinking, I want to buy a new car. I clicked on Carvana the other day because it was like, I see all these commercials. When I cook and bake, I have a little tablet and I watch a bunch of shows, and they'll always stop and show me a Carvana. I'm like, I want to go to the website. What's that about? So I went through the process, not to buy a car, but I just wanted to see what it was like. It was so easy. Then I started thinking, Dean, should we look at buying a new car? I don't know. It seems so fun. Everything is so automated now. It's amazing. It's like getting a sandwich at the automated deli in 1958. So when you are acting on something, have it be more fun. Have it be your ability to uplift self and others. And it's not your job to take on other people's stuff. But as I talk about this, remember, Mars represents the way you act. Your thrust. Pluto represents your core desire for transformation, because it's always there, looking to ignite, TNT, explode, break it down, build it up. So when you look at that configuration, the square, primarily through this time frame of September 1st through November 20th, if Mars is in your 10th house, or if Mars is in your 4th house and you work at home, you might be thinking, I might have to deal with a parent and they're annoying the crap out of me right now. Or I might have to deal with a work situation. Or I might have to think about how to move back into the workforce or from the workforce to home. Right? But again, initiating is not the ideal, but sometimes, the ideal isn't ideal. The not ideal is not ideal. It just is what it is. But if you go into it with an understanding that, all right, I'm going to do my best, and whatever happens in the world, your reaction or your response tells you exactly where you stand with your own judgments. That's the ultimate pH test, the litmus test. When something, falls off the counter and it breaks, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell? It's like, okay, wow, that was a thing. It broke. It happens. Or if somebody does that, it's like, okay, it happens. You can get angry. It doesn't mean don't get angry. It just means, have the anger in proportion to the event, and understanding that compassion is behind all of it at all times. Oh, I know you didn't mean to, but it, it kind of bothered me, but I'm dealing with it. Does that make sense? So, so wherever you have Mars right now, and if you've got it in the 3rd or the 9th house and you're just chatting up a storm and you're thinking, I don't like the way they're doing something, I'm going to tell them to their face. Okay, first of all, what's the momentum behind that? Defensive behavior can get huge when Mars in Aries with the Pluto angle is, 3rd and, 9th houses. Because you want to prove yourself right by proving them wrong. So you have to be careful. Now, a more positive version of that energy with the 3rd and the 9th houses, and let's include the 11th and the 5th houses, is using creativity. Is finding a way to express yourself that is not the definitive, but is the potential. So instead of saying to someone, you are that way because, or this happened because, oh yeah, oh, just blow it off. It's no big deal. You're crying. You might be crying and sobbing and they go, yeah, you're fine. fight me. It's like, I'm not fine. You see me crying? I'm not fine. Fight me. You know, so you want to be able to take it into context and see, okay, every time you say things like that, I feel minimized, right? So you have to really grab your anger before it runs out the door. Grab it by its heels and yank it back and say, okay, what you just said hurt my feelings. You know, so we need to be honest, right? That's the core. That's the transformational part. I'm feeling defensive right now because you just said something that it set me off, and I want to understand it. Because love is always behind everything. It is everything. I want to be in that stream of love, not explosive or reactionary. So help me understand how to shift my energy back. Let's have a conversation. Can we talk about that? I mean, these are the kinds of things that you can say wherever Mars is, whenever something sets you off. And if somebody tells you something, Mars has it represents the part of us that just, okay, sure. You know, like, hey, the water's fine. And so you're like, yeah, okay. And you dive in and it's freezing. And you do like a vendor's thing. You're like, okay, Arctic waters to clear the sluices. I don't know. Cold showers, that's for my husband. Although I will do 10 seconds of a cold shower at the end of mine because it is healthy. It regulates your hormones. So you want to not react by jumping in. And it doesn't always have to be a negative thing. It could be like, oh my God, that guy is so hot. Yeah, come on, let's go. You want to just back up just a second, take a breath. And what is what I'm about to do for myself or another. Think, feel, say, is it destructive or constructive? Yeah. Make sense? Rakara, 8th house, Mars. Oh, I didn't talk about too much. The 8th house also deals with health, and if it's not for yourself, for others. But Mars in the 2nd and 8th houses is also about your finances, your income, your expenditures, where you think you have debt, right? Because debt's not just financial. Debt can be sexual. Debt can be spiritual. Debt can, and the 8th house also deals with that. But the 2nd house is where you get triggered to, oh, I've always wanted that. It only costs $4,000. I'm going to put everything, I'm going to sell some jewelry so I could buy that. Whatever you're about to invest in, make sure, is it constructive or destructive? Is it something that's going to help me grow, or is it something immediate gratification because it's what I want and I'm having a tantrum and a hissy fit? Make sense? Does it? Let me know. And by the way, please comment, like, share. I'm expanding my reach. Let other people come, invite them, let them know that I am here wanting to help. And I'll be talking more about Mars as the months progress, but we're going to get back to planetary definitions in the next couple of weeks. And let me just show you one last time, screenshot. So we can see moon's in Leo today, Sun and Mercury in Leo. So the conversation is about how to become magnanimous, not wounded. How to take that wound and turn it around because we're in the yard. We're in the yard. We're in the backyard. We want to bring it forward and move with a happier, more compassionate momentum. So you might get excited about something like, oh my gosh, I just discovered so-and-so or this thing, or I read this book and I really am hungry for it. That's also a Mars-Pluto thing. Once we get past the annoyance of, I'm trying to read and you keep talking. Okay, well, that came out of nowhere. So you don't want things to build up before it becomes forceful. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Uranus retrograde in Taurus coming up on Thursday. Okay. So thank you for being here. And thank you for putting your love into the world. Be sparkly. Be present. And as always, I wish you peace. I'll see you on Thursday.